Hello, my Devises and my Scottises. First things first, I hope the audio's fixed this time around. I've turned it down, which, by the way, I went back and actually listened to the recording. Wasn't that bad. Hopefully, we're getting better. But, as you can see, I still got my coat on and everything. It's been a busy day, and it's going to keep being a busy day because it's not over yet. So I'm going to make this quick. Today is day 15 of Devis Scottis, and our mission for today, our challenge, was to make a story based on 5 songs in a playlist. So I sat down today with what time I did have, and I made a little story for you. Now, I am not a writer. This is going to be a really bad story. But imagine it's the 80s and you're watching the Hallmark Channel. That is going to be the energy of my little story here today. So, we start off with Mr. Blue Sky for our first song playing in our little playlist here. And I will read you what I wrote here, so I might not be looking at the camera, but the story is there. Open on a college student named Frank, who is a competitive skier, living his life and enjoying it, going through his whole routine for the day, which he has gotten down to a science. His friends try to ask him if he wants to go to a party. He responds, "Nope, gotta keep training." And they say he needs to get a life, and he responds that skiing is his life. Big competition is coming up, and he doesn't have time for anything else. Now, we're in between songs. He learns about this girl who is going to be in the competition who apparently has never been beaten. His best friend, Jimmy, asks if he's ready to compete with her, and Frank says, of course. Jimmy isn't great at skiing, but spends a lot of his time helping Frank to be the best he can be on those slopes. The two are inseparable. Now, I ran from A Flock of Seagulls is our next song. Cut to the ski slopes where people are training. Frank goes to do his ski run when he runs into Noelle, another competitive skier. She's friendly and asks if he's going to be in the competition. He responds saying not only is he going to be in the competition, he's going to be winning it. She jokes saying that he must think he's pretty good. She then challenges him to a race down the slope since he's so good, and he accepts. Frank is surprised how good Noelle is, and she ends up beating him in the race, revealing that she's actually the undefeated skier he heard about previously. He asks her to teach him some of the tricks, to which she scoffs at, asking why she'd teach her competition. Feeling the chemistry in the moment, he says because if she does, he'll repay her by going on a date with him. Or something like that. I messed up the wording, but you get the general idea. She laughs at him, but after asking a couple more times, she accepts the deal. So now we cut to the movie again. Happy Together by the Turtles is the third song. Cut to a montage of them going on dates and engaging in their shared passion of skiing during their training. And then they learn actually a good bit about each other. And they realize that they not only have the chemistry, but they actually have a lot in common. Things are going good. They go on a couple more dates and train some more together. Frank keeps receiving messages from Jimmy asking where he is. He keeps missing their practices together. Frank says he's busy and not to worry about it, which Jimmy sees as very out of character for his friend Frank, who's been so focused on everything about winning this competition and nothing about going and living and doing anything else. Between songs again, Jimmy sees Frank with Noelle and feels like his best friend has basically replaced him after all this time they spent together training. So when Noelle is alone, Jimmy approaches her and tells her that Frank is just trying to get close to her so he can learn all of her tricks and beat her in the competition. Jimmy says Frank doesn't care about anything other than the competition. She could ask anyone else and they'd say the same thing. Jimmy tells Noelle that once the race is over, Frank has won, he won't care about her anymore. The insecurity eats away at Noelle, and when Frank asks if they should start training again today, she responds with something along the lines of, "Right, because you need to win the competition, don't you?" He scoffs and sarcastically says, "Well, I wouldn't be training if I didn't want to win." A fight escalates between the two, with Frank not understanding why Noelle is being hostile. She eventually tells him it'd be best if they didn't talk again until the competition. Frank is trying to act like he doesn't care and says, "Fine, I'll see you then." Now for our fourth song, What the World Needs Now Is Love by Burt Bacharach, which I actually don't know if that's how the actual what the actual title of the name of the song is. I'm hoping that's what it is. So Frank goes back to training with Jimmy for the next few days, but he isn't enjoying life how he normally is. He's not enjoying the training, all the constant stuff that he's doing. It just doesn't feel right. It feels empty now. He tells Jimmy saying how he's feeling and says that he's going to call training early today and just go home. Jimmy feels terrible seeing his friend like this. We are now in between songs. It's the day before the competition, and Jimmy feels like he needs to fix this. He tells Frank what he told Noel, and Frank gets angry with Jimmy. Jimmy takes responsibility and says he's going to explain everything to Noel. Frank is still mad and says to Jimmy that he's done enough. Frank then skis away, leaving Jimmy there alone. Frank has resolved that he is going to tell Noel everything at the competition. The competition is about to begin, and Frank doesn't see Noel anywhere. Jimmy comes running up to him out of breath, saying that it's Noel. Frank says that it's fine. He's going to explain everything to her once he can find her. Jimmy then explains that Noel is dropping out of the competition, and that she said, "Tell Frank congrats, with me not racing, he'll win just like he wanted." Frank is shocked, saying that this competition meant just as much to her as it meant to him. And this is where our next song, our fifth and final song, plays. Heat of the Moment by Asia. He then looks at Jimmy and starts to run in the opposite direction of the slope. Jimmy asks Frank what he's doing. If he leaves now, he'll never be back in time for the race. Frank then responds, "This is more important. You want to make it up to me? Buy time." Jimmy asks how he's supposed to do that, but Frank doesn't respond. Frank makes his way to Noel, going as fast as he can. Noel has her things packed and is getting ready to leave when Frank arrives. She asks what he's doing there, because if he's there, he's going to miss the race. He responds he could ask her the same thing. The two talk things out, and Frank says, "I don't care if I win. All I care about is racing you. Without you, there is no race." Noel then responds, "Well, it's too bad it's too late for either of them to race." Frank then gets a call from Jimmy, who tells him he is doing everything in his power to hold things up, but they need to get back there now. The two hurry over to the competition slope as fast as possible, and they arrive as Jimmy is being escorted off the premises. He apparently made quite the fool of himself trying to keep things from happening, but Frank and Noel made it back in time to race. The race begins as they go down the slope. The two are neck and neck for most of the race. As they near the end of it, it looks like Frank's about to win, but he purposely slows himself down just enough to take second place. Noel asks him afterwards why he did it, and he explains that he wanted to prove to her that she meant more to him than winning. He then jokingly says after the fact, "Plus, I think it was pretty clear I was going to win." She laughs, punches him in the arm, saying she totally had him. If he hadn't given up, she would have beaten him properly. He then wraps his arms around her and says, "Well, then I suppose you'll have to race me again to prove it. This time, just the two of us." The two kiss, and the movie ends. And there is my cheesy Hallmark story made out of 5 songs for you. Now I gotta go play my Nintendo Switch.